Welcome to the 12 Houses, Episode 5, Empty Houses. Why a blank room is not a dead zone. An empty house is managed by its cusp sign, and most importantly, the condition and location of that house's ruler. We'll show you how to read quiet rooms by proxy, with examples across money, love, career, health, and home. You'll learn how transits activate these spaces, why angular rulers speak louder, and how to set simple triggers, calendar reminders, rituals, accountability that keep life areas thriving without a natal planet planted there. Think of it as hiring a competent manager instead of living on the floor. Start with the most important move. Read the door sign. Every house has a sign on its cusp, and that sign sets the tone of the room. If your 7th house partnership is empty, but the door sign is Libra, the room wants reciprocity, fairness, and aesthetics in the bond. If it's Aries, it wants clarity, initiative, and honest conflict hygiene. If your 10th house, career, is empty with Taurus on the cusp, your public life matures through steadiness and craft. If it's Gemini, your reputation rises through communication and connection. The door sign is the headline. You can live that headline today without a single planet inside. Speak the sign's language in that life area, and the room becomes usable. Now, follow the superintendent, the ruling planet of that cusp sign. That planet is the house's manager. Track where it lives by sign and house and how it's aspected. If your 2nd house, money, is empty with Virgo on the cusp, Mercury manages your resources. Where is Mercury? If it lives in your 6th house, your money decisions are made in daily routines and service. Refine the workflow and your finances steady. If it lives in your 11th, your earnings and savings flourish through networks and community projects. Participate in groups with momentum, and your bank reflects it. If your 4th house, home, is empty with Capricorn on the cusp, Saturn manages the nest. Wherever Saturn sits is where home decisions really happen. If Saturn lives in the 9th, long-term education, belief systems, and travel shape your sense of home. If Saturn lives in the 2nd, budget and assets dictate home choices. The ruler links rooms. 2 charts with the same empty house can live completely different stories because their rulers sit in different places with different allies and tensions. Aspects are the wiring when a house is empty, aspects to its ruler, as well as aspects that touch the house, cusp by transit or progression, become the voices you hear. A sweet trine into the ruler keeps the room well supplied, even if nobody lives there. A tight square to the ruler means the room still demands growth through friction. For example, an empty 5th house, creativity, joy, romance, ruled by the sun, can feel very alive if that sun is conjunct Venus or trine Jupiter. Your studio stays stocked. Even if you haven't moved a planet in the same empty 5th, ruled by a sun square, Saturn won't vanish. It will ask you to schedule play, build competence, and refuse to outsource your joy to applause. Wiring tells you whether the lights flicker or hum, and what breaker trips when you're stressed. Transits are visiting seasons. No natal planet lives in the room, but Jupiter spends a year there, and suddenly the life area blooms. Collaborations arrive in the empty 7th, gigs and press show up in the empty 10th, babies or passion projects whisper in the empty 5th, a move or family reckonings rise in the empty 4th. Saturn transits bring structure and responsibility. Uranus brings updates and surprising invitations. Neptune brings fog and inspiration that needs containers. Pluto brings renovations and depth that compost old patterns into sturdier forms. You don't need to fear a quiet natal room. When the sky knocks, the room wakes. Your job is to match the flavor. Say yes more in Jupiter seasons, in one lane. Build scaffolding in Saturn seasons. Make small reversible experiments in Uranus seasons. Keep promises simple and double your craft in Neptune seasons and tell the truth early in Pluto seasons. Interceptions and duplications can make empty rooms feel confusing. If a sign doesn't appear on any cusp, intercepted, its themes live more internally and often expressed through planets rather than doorways. The room might feel available only after you unlock it from the inside, through therapy, through time, through choosing on purpose rather than waiting for permission. If two consecutive house cusps share the same sign, duplication, that tone gets emphasized across both rooms. An empty, duplicated house is not twice as empty. It's asking for fluency in that sign's language so both rooms benefit. If Leo is duplicated on your second and third, value and voice mature together. Charge for the stories and performances you're actually proud of. Reduce offerings that dim your light. Stelliums elsewhere explain why a room is quiet. If 4 planets camp in your 6th, of course your daily work absorbs attention while the 12th stays empty and easy to neglect until your body demands rest. If your first house is stacked, you'll notice me themes loudly while the 7th is empty and too easy to autopilot until a transit lights it and relationship design becomes urgent. Empty doesn't mean unimportant. It means unoccupied while other rooms host the party. The chart is a whole house. Sometimes the loud rooms feed the quiet ones when you remember to open the connecting doors. Let's translate the theory into specific rooms people worry about most when they're empty. An empty 7th house doesn't doom love. Read the descendant sign and the ruler. Build agreements and repair rituals early. If Libra is on the cusp with Venus ruling from the 10th, public alignment and shared mission keep your bonds healthy. If Aries is on the cusp with Mars in the 4th, clean conflict at home, decide versus discuss, agreed return times. Stabilizes love more than grand gestures. Use a weekly 2-chair check-in, even if the room is quiet. Appreciations, logistics, emotional weather, one plan for affection. Empty just means you design on purpose. It does not mean you walk alone. An empty 10th house doesn't erase career. The mid-heaven sign and its ruler are your compass. If Taurus is on the 10th with Venus in the 6th, reputation equals consistency and quality of service. Pick a cadence and polish your handoffs. If Sagittarius is on the 10th with Jupiter in the 3rd, reputation equals teaching, writing, sharing ideas clearly. Publish on a schedule and let your outcomes accumulate. Give the rooftop a weekly promise in one line and a visible deliverable. The world plants trust in quiet rooms that keep showing up. An empty 2nd house doesn't block money. Read the sign, follow the steward, and build containers. If Virgo rules with Mercury in the 11th, value flows through community. Build a small membership, office hours, or recurring group offer. If Leo rules with the Sun in the 5th, value flows through performance and creative leadership. Price your showtime and practice until your body believes it. Automate savings and name your buckets so worth becomes choreography, not a mood. An empty 4th house doesn't make you rootless. The cusp sign describes what home feels like, and the ruler shows where home decisions happen. If Cancer is on the cusp with Moon in the 2nd, home studies when your budget includes comfort and food that tastes like dignity. If Aquarius is on the cusp with Uranus in the 9th, home is portable and thrives on fresh horizons and philosophies. Design rituals that travel your mug, your morning light, your weekly call, so the nest lives with you. An empty 5th house doesn't erase creative joy or romance. Feed the sign flavor and follow the ruler to the room where your muse lives. If Aries rules with Mars in the 6th, creativity wakes during movement and routine. A daily 20-minute sprint beats waiting for inspiration. If Pisces rules with Neptune in the 10th, art wants a public container. Gallery wall, newsletter, small show. Don't wait to feel ready. Promise a tiny stage and keep it. An empty 6th house doesn't mean you're bad at habits. Read the sign and let the ruler dictate method. If Capricorn rules with Saturn in the 3rd, checklists and clean formats calm your body. Version numbers and a definition of done keep you from moving goalposts. If Gemini rules with Mercury in the 12th, Your best routine may include quiet writing time and a short walk without your phone. Your focus wants breath more than brute force. An empty 8th house doesn't mean intimacy or shared finances will fail. It often means you can keep things simple. If Scorpio rules with Mars in the 2nd, money conversations are easier when you name mine, ours clearly and protect both. If Pisces rules with Neptune in the 5th, shared resources get slippery without play and honesty. Schedule money dates with a small ritual so it stays human. An empty 9th house doesn't take meaning away. It invites you to choose your own curriculum. Read the sign and let the ruler show where you find horizon. If Sagittarius rules with Jupiter in the 12th, faith and solitude feed your growth. Private study and quiet retreats matter. If Virgo rules with Mercury in the 1st, meaning grows through daily learning and teaching what you just learned. An empty 11th house doesn't deny friendship or audience. Your people are chosen by tone and sustained by cadence. If Libra rules with Venus in the 3rd, small gatherings and thoughtful DMs grow your network. If Aquarius rules with Uranus in the 6th, communities form around tools and improvements you share freely. An empty 1st house doesn't erase presence. Your ascendant sign still sets the vibe. The ruler tells the story of your body and beginnings. If you felt hard to read, it may be that your chart speaks through another room, perhaps a 10th house sun or a 7th house moon. Calibrate your first 10 minutes of each day to match the tone you want the world to meet. An empty 12th house doesn't mean you lack intuition. It often means rest is straightforward when you allow it. Read the sign, follow the ruler, and protect 5 minutes of no task time daily. If Pisces rules with Neptune in the 4th, night rituals at home restore you. If Capricorn rules with Saturn in the 9th, structured Sabbath and studied silence are medicine. Common anxieties arise around emptiness, so let's answer them plainly. If my love, money, career house is empty, does that mean I'll struggle? No, it means the story plays out through the sign on the door, the ruler's placement, and timing. People with crowded relationship houses can struggle. People with empty ones can marry happily for 50 years. Charts are not destinies. They're maps for better choices. Do empty houses stay quiet forever? No. Transits, progressions, and life phases awaken them. If your 8th is empty and you buy a home, get married, inherit, start therapy, or start a business, that room becomes very alive. If your 5th is empty and you have a child or take up a craft, the studio lights turn on. Should I try to activate an empty house? You already do. Every time you live, it's sign on purpose and follow its ruler's needs. If you want more heat, schedule activity. Date night equals 7th activation, publishing equals 10th, studio time equals 5th, Sunday reset equals 6th, savings automation equals 2nd, rest ritual equals 12th. Action flips the switch. Let's walk through 3 portraits that sound like people you know. Zoe has an empty 7th with Aquarius on the cusp, and Uranus ruling from the 6th conjunct Venus. She kept worrying that love wasn't meant for her. When she stopped chasing intensity and started designing novelty into routine, monthly weird date, rotating shared projects, a rule that they each get solo nights. Partnership stopped feeling like a cage. The empty 7th didn't disappear. It finally had wiring that matched its sign. Malik has an empty 10th with Virgo on the cusp, and Mercury in the 5th trine Jupiter. He envied friends with loud career placements. When he committed to a weekly micro lecture on design craft and posted it every Tuesday, his inbox filled. Not because he chanted affirmations, but because he gave the rooftop a rhythm that matched Virgo's promise, precise, useful, regular. Tessa has an empty 2nd with Taurus on the cusp and Venus in the 8th, opposite Saturn. Money felt scary and relational. She created 3 accounts, yours, mine, ours, put savings on autopilot, and wrote a household charter with clear thresholds. The fear didn't vanish overnight. The room just stopped leaking because the steward planet finally had a job description. There's a gentle superpower in empty houses. Focus. Packed rooms can feel like crowded kitchens. Empty rooms are easier to keep tidy. If your 6th is empty, one good routine turns into 3. If your third is empty, one communication block per day clears friction you didn't know you were carrying. If your 11th is empty, one monthly gathering makes you feel connected without managing 10 group chats. Don't pathologize quiet. Leverage it. Another gift, permission to outsource wisely. Empty 4th but heavy 10th. Hire help for the home sooner than later. Your chart doesn't reward martyrdom. Empty 12th but loaded 6th. Schedule rest like a deliverable because your default is doing. Empty 5th with creative longing. Join a class so the studio has community. Empty 2nd, and you hate money admin. Pay a bookkeeper for 2 hours a month and still look at the dashboard, so worth stays yours. If you're in a season where an empty house is suddenly loud because of transits, match the weather. Jupiter through your empty 7th, date generously or pitch collaborators, but in one lane. Saturn through your empty 2nd, simplify offers, raise quality, put tax and savings on rails, and practice boring consistency. Uranus through your empty 10th, prototype small updates quarterly so career reinvention is pace. Neptune through your empty 4th. Make home softer and keep documents clear, lower contrast in decor, and raise clarity in boundaries. Pluto through your empty 11th. Audit your networks. Leave rooms that cost you your spine. Join rooms where truth and purpose align. If you struggle with the feeling that an empty house equals lack, write and practice better sentences. Replace "my ex house is empty so I'm unlucky" with "my ex house speaks through its sign and ruler." I can practice that today. Replace "I have no planets there" with "I have wiring there." Here's the switch. Replace "I need a planet to activate it" with "I schedule the activity I want to grow." Speak like a caretaker, not a critic. The house responds to tone. Give yourself a weekly walkthrough ritual for your empty rooms. Pick one empty house you care about right now. State its door sign in one line, and what that implies. Name the ruling planet and where it lives. Ask what that planet needs this week. Then schedule a single, very small act that matches. Empty 7th, Libra, ruled by Venus in the 3rd. Send a thoughtful note. Plan a simple date. Practice one repair line. Empty 10th, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn in the 2nd. Ship one high-quality deliverable and log it. Raise a price by $5. Document your process. Empty 5th, Aries, ruled by Mars in the 1st. Do a 15-minute creative sprint before noon. Empty 12th, Pisces, ruled by Neptune in the 6th. 5 minutes of breath before email. Do it for 6 weeks, and you'll stop thinking of the house as empty and start thinking of it as low maintenance and responsive. If you've got an intercepted sign on an empty house and it feels stubbornly silent, go inside first. Journal 1 page weekly on that sign's topics. Make one private ritual and involve one trusted witness if the room holds grief. Interceptions open from the inside out with gentleness and repetition, not with force. And if the empty room holds an old story, love isn't for me, money doesn't stick, home never feels safe, my work never lands, treat the story as compost. You don't need to argue with it. You need to feed the soil with one new habit, one new agreement, one new ally, and time. Gardens don't sprout because you yell at the dirt. They sprout because you put the right seed in the right season under the right light, and then you keep showing up while it looks like nothing is happening. Before we close, walk that empty room in your mind. Touch the doorknob, say the sign out loud. Picture the ruling planet and the room it lives in. Ask it one question. What's the smallest, kindest act this week that would make you feel tended? Not the perfect act. The smallest. A text. A list. A lamp. A boundary. A plan. A breath. Choose it now and put it where Wednesday can't steal it. That's the empty house reframe. Clarity without superstition. If this helped your chart feel less like a test and more like a house you can actually care for, come practice with tools that make the work tactile and even fun. Visit mysticbolt.com and try the free apps. Pull a spread in Tarot Studio and ask, what switch turns on this room this week? Use the Rider-Waite Tarot app for a quick nudge before a conversation, a pitch, or a habit block, so your action has a theme instead of noise. Take a free tarot reading to set a monthly focus that keeps your quiet rooms included. When your mind spirals about nothing happening, use chakra frequencies for 10 minutes, and then do one small act for the house you chose. At night, wind down with the pranayama flow breath timer so your 12th house remembers how to let the day end. In the comments, tell me which empty room you're tending and the tiny act you're going to take. Houses don't need crowds to work. They need a caretaker who knows where the switches are, and that's you now.